Hello Wargamers and welcome to another Steel Division Normandy 44 with me, Bubblebox, and today it's time for another Battlegroup overview stroke rebuild. This time it's the turn of the 15th Infantry, the Scottish or British Division, depending on however you want to look at it. Yeah, I like this. I really like this Scottish division because it's a really nice all-round division. It hasn't got any massive strengths, I don't believe, or any massive weaknesses either. It's a little bit weak in the tank department, perhaps, especially now that the extra Panzer division has been entered into the game as well. Now there's two strong Panzer divisions in the game for the Axis, but this can kind of do everything, this deck, and I think it's going to be more useful for those players playing like 1v1s and 2v2s, but is still useful in kind of 10v10s and that as well, as I tend to play, and I really do enjoy using this particular division. But we'll head into the recon. There's quite a nice choice of recon for the Scottish division. I've gone for a couple here of slightly different. I've gone for the recce squads, which are the two-man squads. One of them in the Humber Mark IIIs with the little cannon and also the machine gun as well. And I've also gone for a set of exactly the same reconnaissance, the two-man squads, but this time in the MMG carrier with the two machine guns, the Bren gun and the Vickers machine gun as well. The reason I got those, it gives me a little bit of flexibility. You get 4 of the ones in the MMG carrier and only 3 in the Humber, and you can see I haven't filled out all my slots, so I've got to rely on these for the whole game, and that does give me 7 infantry recces to play with during the game. That should be enough, I'm hoping. The only other choice here really is you could have got some scouts in a universal carrier. The scouts are the 4-man squad if you wanted something just slightly more robust. Still got very good stealth, of course, and you get the universal carrier just with the single machine gun though for 40 points, and I preferred to have the dual machine gun because they can support my other infantry when they're pushing into towns, and that once I've dropped off my recon squad as well. So they're kind of a little bit more useful, I thought, when I was making this deck. Apart from that, I think that's kind of about it. Yeah, they're the Humbers I've got already, and then we move on to B. So in B, there's you can get more of the same of the infantry, so you can get some more recce squads, but this time you can get them in the Willys, the Jeep with the medium machine gun, if you'd like to wait until B. But I'd tend, if I want to get those Willys machine guns out, I like to get them out in A. I don't want to wait until messing around in B. And then you can get the recce squad in the Stuart recce with the dual machine guns, if you would like to have some of those in B. But again, I like just to get a nice choice of my reconnaissance in A. These are all these reconnaissance units are veterans, by the way. So stick a command with them, they then become elites if you want. In B also, we can move on and start getting the Daimlers, and you can either get the Daimler AC or you can get the Daimler Little John. The only difference here is in the power of the AP power of the main cannon, and everything else I believe is pretty much, yep, exactly the same. So with the Daimler AC for 80 points, you get an increased range of 1,000 compared to the 800 of the Little John, but you do get a reduced AP of 8 compared to the 14 of the Little John. So that's your choice. I've gone for the Daimler AC for 2 reasons. One, you get that little bit of extra range, which can be oh so useful, and also the main reason is I get 2 of them instead of 1. If one dies, I've still got another one I can bring out, but if you lose your Daimler Little John and you've only got 1 of them, then you've lost it for the whole of that phase. But you can get more if you want in phase C. I haven't, but you can if you want. You can get more of the Daimler ACs or more of the Daimler Little Johns in section C for phase C. So moving on to the infantry. Infantry is really, well, I believe quite strong in this particular deck. I haven't filled out all my slots, but I've gone quite heavy in A. We'll have a look at the leaders first of all. I've got 2 sets of the rifle leaders. They come in the command carrier just with the single machine gun, so their carrier isn't amazing, but you're going to need these, and these I've got 6 of them, and they will hopefully last me throughout the whole game, phase A, phase B and phase C, not just in phase A, which is where I've got my leaders. Apart from that, not a lot to say about them really. They haven't got smoke, they've only got the heat anti-tank weapon, although you don't really want these getting involved in close combat if you can help it. They are elite as well, so they will have a very big sphere of influence, so So stick these in the middle of a town and they should very well influence pretty much all the units around them, even if you're and you will also be able to spread your units out a bit to take account for any artillery fire, because these do have a very big sphere of influence, being elite commanders. Now, apart from that in A, my staple infantry is going to be the rifles, as it would be for most people, I expect. 10 strength, you've got the Bren machine gun, some Lee Enfields, and a couple of Sten submachine guns as well. So pretty nice all-round little infantry squad there for 6 of them. And I've got 2 sets, I've got 12 sets of them. They're not expensive either, they're only 20. The only thing you're really lacking here is your anti-tank weapon. And again, I wouldn't use the anti-tank weapon of the rifle leader. What you need to do, if I quickly flip over to the anti-tank section, you can get some PIATs in the anti-tank section in A. And in fact, I've got 1 set of those. You can get 4 of them, and that will be your main anti-tank infantry, I would expect, in Phase A. Also in Phase A, I've gone for the Vickers heavy machine gun to offer me a bit of long-range fire support, and they also come in the little Lloyd carrier. In fact, it has 1 armour, but will disappear, of course, when you drop your Vickers out. So I've gone for some of those as well. The only other choice, really, is you could bring... Let's have a look. What's the other choice? It's really just the Brens, I think. They're a little bit cheaper. They're only 15, which is fairly good value, I guess. They're only a 5-man squad though, and they come with the 2 Bren machine guns. But they seem like a little bit of a halfway house to me between the proper infantry squad and like a machine gun squad. So I think if I've got the proper infantry, the rifles, and I've got the Vickers heavy machine gun as well, I don't really need the Bren group as well in my deck. And I certainly don't want to swap them out for a set of the rifles, really. I could swap them out for a set of the rifle leaders, okay, but when would I use them when I've got the heavy machine gun and I've got the rifle squad? That was my thoughts anyway. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Then we're moving on to B. In B, you can get some of these assault pioneers, and I have indeed got a set of these to complement my rifles. So I've got another set of the rifles, the nice cheap 20-point rifles, all in Bedfords. And I've got some assault pioneers in Bedfords as well. Now I like these because they've got their satchel charge and can devastate anything next to them in a forest or in a town building. So I've got a few of those. I don't use them a great deal, but they're good if you have them in your deck, give you a bit of flexibility, and we've got all those rifles we can use as well. They're only 15 points as well, and they are veteran already. Your rifles, by the way, are just standard units. They're not veteran or elite. Now, what else have we got in B? You can get some more of the Bren groups. We've already spoken about them in the Bedfords as well. And more rifles, which we've got. All in Bedfords. There's nothing apart from the Vickers heavy machine gun again, which would come in the Lloyd carrier. I've already spoken about that in A. Get more of those in B if you want as well. But I've stuck to mainly top heavy in A and reinforcements in B. And then in C, I doubt people will put a lot of these into C unless they're really going heavy on the infantry. You can get a lot more rifles in C if you really want to. Moving on to the tanks. Now the tanks are a little bit unusual. They're kind of, I mean, the Challengers are really strong. The Churchills, we'll go through them individually. The Churchill's got nice armour and stuff, but let's start off in A. I've got a set of the Honey Stewarts. I'm always a bit iffy, but these are really your defence against the German half-tracks at the beginning of the game. They're pretty nippy around the map, 30 kilometers per hour off-road, which isn't too bad. They haven't got a terrible armour for Phase 1 as well. They've got not the best gun, 37mm with 7 AP and 1,000 meters range, but they have got triple machine guns, which is, so they are very, very nice infantry support tank. But if they come up against other and also will protect your infantry against those pesky German half-tracks, but against other tanks they're probably going to be quite weak, and watch out for the aircraft as well, but they have got those triple machine guns. Apart from that, that's it. That's your sole choice for Phase A in your tank department. Now Phase B, it gets a little bit more interesting. You can get more Honey Stewarts, but I think 3 and 8 is going to be perfectly enough for me. And then definitely I would say go for a command. So you can get 2 Churchill 7 commands in B as well. And I like these because they've got, for a Phase B tank, they've got very nice front armour of 15, really nice front side armour of 10, and rear armour of 7. So they're very well armoured. armaments wise, not the strongest in the world at 11 AP, but you know, you can maybe afford to roll them a bit closer. These are your tanky tanks. They're out there in the front. They're offering their command bonus as well, and it's the armor you're really going for. I've got 2 of them as well, and they are there to stick in front of my Churchill 4s. The Churchill 4s I've also bringing out in B as well. They've got the same main gun and the same machine gun. In fact, they're exactly the same as the Command Churchill, apart from they haven't got that armor on the front and the side, well, and the rear as well. They're not as strongly armored, but you get 4 of them. So I've got 2 Churchill 7 commands and then 4 Churchill 6s just to slot in behind the commands, I guess, to so that commands can soak up the damage. So they're Phase B tanks, and they should be able to hold their own against most. They'll certainly hold their own against like the Panzer IVs. The Panthers, not quite as well, but yeah, we've got another weapon to deal with those a little bit later on. Now, that's about it in B. You can get a Challenger in B as well, but only 1. And the Challengers, really, they've got a really nice gun, 17 AP power. This is the main armament tank for you, but very weak armor. 7 front. It's not going to hold up to much. You're going to have those Churchill command tanks sitting in front of these things to soak up the damage, and these things to do the damage. They do have a range of 1,200 though. Now, the only reason I haven't bought 1 in B is because you can only get 1 in B. Now, it would be very useful to have a Challenger in B, but I was thinking in A and in B I'm going to be taking towns, consolidating towns, and then in B starting to bring out the Churchills, and then in C maybe trying to start bringing out the Challengers to try and combat some of the German tanks. We'll have to see how that goes though. Also in about it in B, I think that's about it in B as far as the tanks are concerned, and then in C I've gone for 2 more Challengers with the powerful gun. Hopefully I've been able to keep my Churchills alive in Phase B so that they can help out these Challengers that will be coming up behind in Phase C. You can also get a couple of Shermans. The good thing about the Shermans is they have the 50 cal, so they're quite useful against aircraft, can defend themselves very well. Again, the main gun, it's not really, can't really hack it too well in Phase C, to be honest, and it's a bit of a weak tank for Phase C. I would much rather try and keep my Churchills alive and bring up the Challengers behind. That's my personal preference anyway. And that's it for the tanks. Again, probably one of the weaker sections for this battle group, because I've gone for kind of quality a little bit over quantity perhaps for this particular group build. Moving on to the support. Now, we've got some nice support units in the Scottish division, and I've gone for some dingoes in A, just so I've got some mobile command vehicles. They are only just, well, I say only, they are veteran, so they have a reasonable sphere of influence. They've got a machine gun, a little machine gun as well, so they can protect themselves against infantry. But you can use these because they're only 30 points. They're your cheap command. You can stick them by your artillery. You can move them up with your tanks. You can stick them in a town to support your infantry. You can do whatever you want with them. I've also got some supply trucks in A as well. Just 3. I mean, I don't think you need any more for this particular deck. Just bring them in A, just use them as and when I need them then. I don't have to wait till B if I get desperate for a supply truck. Now, then I've gone for the AVRE. Took a nerf in the last patch. Was 20 front armor, now it's 15, so not as armored, but did take a drop in price. But still a very, very powerful anti-air unit. You will get this targeted if it's spotted, which it will be because it's bloody huge. But it will devastate infantry. It can one-shot squads of infantry with its 30 HE. Only 2 rounds a minute, but incredibly powerful tank, and still very, very well armored as well. Now, also in this deck, in Phase A as well, you can get, let's just put the AVRE back up, the Churchill 5, which is another very good infantry killer. This one, though, has got a range of 1,200, and I've just seen that, actually, and I'm tempted to swap that out now, actually. It's a shame I haven't got another spot, because that is going to be very useful for taking down anti-tank weapons at a range of 1,200. I'm not going to put it in my deck now, but that's something certainly to consider with this particular deck, especially if you want to go perhaps into more open ground. This thing will take out anti-tank weapons in phase A for you, the Churchill, and will do a very good job of supporting your infantry as well. I just haven't got the points to put that in my deck, although I would certainly consider maybe getting rid of something else, because I definitely want the AVRE in, and I could bring the Churchills in phase A as well. But my deck's already, my battle group's already very top heavy in A, so yeah, I think I've got a fairly well balanced. In B, the Crocodile, which used to be available in an A, I've put that in. I don't think you'll be seeing this quite as much now that it's only available in B as apart from A, but I've still got it in my battle group in phase B. You got the, not a napalm, the flamethrower, you've got the medium machine gun, and you've got a cannon on the top as well, with a fairly decent rate of fire of 6. But again, very well armoured support vehicle in B if you want that. Now, what else have we got? We've got some more supply trucks in B if you want those, and that's it, I think. So limited, I guess, in support, but very, very nice support. Moving on to the anti-tank weapons. Pretty okay. Got some nice anti-tank weapons later on in the phases, but in phase A, I've gone for a couple of 6-pounders. Useful to bring out early in phase A, just to try to ambush and snipe enemy vehicles and tanks. They're only 60 points. They're not too expensive. You have to bring them out, I believe, in the Lloyd Carrier. Yep, there's no trucks you can bring them out in. No. Okay. I've also, of course, gone for the Piats, which we've already spoken about. And you can either get those 6-pounders as veteran or as elite. I've got mine as veteran because I'd like to often go for a town and have maybe a 6-pounder on each flank, just to protect my flanks against support vehicles and stuff like that. And then in B, we start to get the more powerful anti-tank weapon, and I've certainly gone for 2 of these at elite. So we can set these up in a tree line somewhere. Really, really nice AP power. No HE, so you haven't got to worry about these things firing infantry when you don't want them to and exposing themselves. Only AP damage. 1,200 meter range as well. Very, very useful anti-tank weapon. Quite expensive in phase B at 120, but really, really nice anti-tank weapon. And then I've got some Wolverines as well in phase B. I brought these out so I can bring them out a bit earlier. I could have left these till phase C and got an extra one, but I thought, well, I've got enough stuff to bring out anyway in B and in C. I'm probably not going to be able to bring 3 of these out, so I've got 2 of these Wolverines. Again, you've got that range again at 1,200 meters, and also the AP power of 13, and this time we've got a 12.7, so we can shoot at aeroplanes with this thing as well. Fairly weak in armor though, just bear that in mind, but a nice anti-tank weapon. And then oh well, anything else in B? I don't think so. It's pretty much in B, and then in C it's all about the Wolverines, and you can also get some more 17-pounders. I've gone for just 2 this time though, elite 17-pounders, so 17 AP power, and they're elite. These are going to be absolute tank killers, especially if you're getting into a more defensive situation in phase C. But if you're perhaps in a more offensive situation in C, you might want to bring out some more Wolverines. Anti-air, quite a lot of choice. I've gone for some in A, quite a lot in fact, and that is just to start bolstering my anti-air. My anti-air, I'm hoping to have air superiority with this deck, as we'll see quite shortly when we look at the air tab. I've bought up quite a lot of anti-air. It's mostly in A. I could have bought some more up in B, I guess, but I wanted these Tripolsons. They fire really quickly. They're really good at stunning planes. They're not mega useful, I guess, at taking them out, but that's what I've got the Spitfires for. So 3 sets of 2 Tripolsons in A. And then I've gone for the heavier caliber in B, the Bofors, 2 sets of 3 Bofors in phase B. Bit static maybe, but a nice powerful unit with 10 HE and 11 AoE and a 1,000 meter range as well. And the Tripolsons have an 800 meter range. There are a few others if you want something a bit more mobile. You've got the CMP Polston, and then you've got some Crusaders if you want something mobile for phase B. the Mark 1s, and you can get more of those in Phase C, but I've gone for the more static ones for this particular deck. You get more of them, and you get more firepower for your dosh, but you do lose out on that flexibility and movement. Artillery. Now, I think we've got some quite nice artillery, a good mixture of artillery for the Scottish, and you've got a good choice, and I've kind of chosen a little bit of everything. So I've got a couple of mortar carriers in Phase A. They're very short range, only 700 meters, but they are what they are. They're your mortar carrier for A. You can get the ones in Phase A that are 1,200 meters. Actually, should I get those instead? Actually, yes. I think I do prefer, yeah, I prefer that little bit of extra range, I think, so they can't get counter-batteried. Yeah, I'm going to put those ones. I'm going to put the longer range ones in. Oh, they're B ones. That's why, is it? Ah, that's why, yeah. Okay, back to those then, because I definitely want mortars in A. So they're the only mortar available in A, but they are quite short range. But I want them in A because I want mortars to support my infantry in Phase A. In Phase B, you can get the bigger mortars, the longer range mortars at 1,200 if you want to wait until Phase B until you get those mortars. Also in Phase B, though, you can get a couple of these 25-pounders, and these look pretty decent because they can fire HE and they can fire AP. So as well as being useful against softer targets, they're going to be pretty useful as counter barrage unit and also for even shooting at armoured vehicles as well, including tanks, and a good range as well. 2,400 meters for a Phase B, the 25-pounder. Very, very nice. 120 points each, 2 of them, and they are regular. You can get priests in at this phase as well if you want those instead. More of a HE killer. 2,400 meter range again. Decent AoE, and you got a 50 cal on top as well. No machine gun with the 25-pounders, of course. What else can you get in B? You can get some off-map artillery, and again, because I'm going for towns, if I'm struggling in a town, need a bit of off-map, or if I'm trying to advance into a town, got these Churchill OP 140mm field artillery that we can use. Not the most powerful off-map artillery in the game, but get a couple of them. They are 140 points. They have got a secondary weapon. Yeah, they have got a secondary weapon, so you've got a machine gun that you can use after you've used your off-map artillery, which is always useful to have. So in C, we can also get the 4.2-inch mortar. Quite a powerful mortar with a range of 1,600 and an HE of 16 and an AoE of 38. Get 3 of them, and they're only 100 points, so they're not too expensive. Quite a nice mortar. It is in C, so I'm a bit iffy about getting these out in C when I could get something a bit more powerful, get some more. Oh, can I get more priests? I could have got more priests, for example, or more off-board artillery. But yeah, gone for the mortars in C. I might swap them out at a future date. We'll have to see how those go. And then I've got some priests. Actually, I've got my priests in C. So this is my long-range artillery, and use it for counter-barraging, for all that sort of thing. And the only other thing you could get is some more powerful, this time, off-map artillery if you need that, if you fancy having that in C. But I've gone for kind of a mixture. Yeah, I've gone for 2 off-boards in B, but if I'm struggling in a town, I'm going to need those, or trying to fight my way through a forest somewhere. So, moving on to the aircraft, and in Phase A, I've gone for a couple of Spitfires to start trying to get that air superiority for the Allies. These are one of the better fighters in the game with very good agility, decent firepower as well, and they're only 125 points, which is fairly cheap for an aircraft, in my opinion. 2 of the veterans. You could get some Austers in Phase A, but why would you? You've only got 4 slots here. You've got to be quite choosy. You've got some really nice aircraft to choose from, but you have got to choose carefully because you've only got your 4 slots, and I really wouldn't go for an Auster as one of those slots. Also in A, you could get some Spitfire bombers. Again, it's the weaker of the Spitfire bombers. Could be useful again in Phase A, especially if you want to get rid of maybe some AT weapons and stuff. You can also double up as a fighter. They're only good agility now, not very good agility as with the pure Mark 9 fighter. So you could have got a little bomber, and you can also get a rocket plane as well. But I think you've got enough in your deck to deal with early phase vehicles, early phase tanks and anti-tanks. I don't think you really need a rocket plane in phase A personally. So I'll save my slots for later, as you'll see, and I've got so much stuff in this deck to bring in A anyway. I don't want to be spending 200 points on a rocket plane at the start, really. Moving on to phase B, there's quite a nice choice in phase B, although I've gone for the Spitfires again. 3 regular. I could have got 2 elite rather than the 3 regular, but I've gone for 3 regular because I like to bring these out in pairs. So I've got 2 in phase A, 2 in phase B, and then I've got a spare one in case I lose one in a dogfight. These really, really nice dogfighters though for 125 points, and should ensure that you have air superiority at least over your part of the map, and if not, if the enemy hasn't got lots of anti-air units on the ground, then you may even have good air superiority over the whole of the map, especially if your allies bring in some of these Spitfires as well. Apart from that, we've got a more powerful bomber in phase B with a bigger payload, same weapons but a bigger payload of bombs. If you want some bombers, and you can get those at veteran or elite, and then you can bring in some Typhoon rocket planes. These are again the standard rocket plane. You can get 2 of them as well. They cost 200 points though, and remember, in this deck I decided not to get any more sort of rocket planes or bombers in phase B because I've got enough stuff, as I say, to bring in phase A and B already in this deck that I'd like to bring in before phase C. And I've saved my phase C, as you can see, for the anti-tank Typhoons. So that's more Typhoons, rocket planes in phase B, and more bombers in phase B. And you can get 1 Typhoon anti-tank if you want in phase B, and this could be a good choice. You can maybe get rid of, I could have got rid of one of my C slots and got them in B instead, but again, I've got loads of tanks and stuff I want to bring out in B. So moving on to phase C, it's just the Typhoon anti-tanks, and I've gone for all of them. I've gone for 4 Typhoon anti-tanks in C. Now at first look, they don't really look any better than the Typhoons that you get in B, and cost 20 points more. And the only difference is the area of effect is 10 instead of 30. And I think this is what, I'm guessing, this is what makes them more effective against tanks and armoured vehicles than the normal Typhoon or the 200 point Typhoon. And they do work. I've tried these in game, they definitely work. They can kill tanks in the side armour. Not every time, of course. Mostly they will push them back, but they can kill tanks. So I've got 4 of them, and they are an awesome unit, especially if you've got air superiority on the field already. So that's it, guys. That is my battle group overview review for the 15th Infantry Scottish. I'll be putting a gameplay up for this maybe tomorrow or the day after. Please put any comments about this deck in the comment section below. If you did enjoy it, give me a thumbs up. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.